Welcome to Flash Tutorial 77, Slot Machine Part 4, a follow-up to 76 Part 3, naturally. And I believe this is the last part for this series. I have the Part 76 opened on my computer now. And now we're going to work on some action script to keep track of our bets and our money. Select this frame name layer and click here and insert a layer. I'm just going to paste one in and call that layer user text, and you have a blank keyframe here. And what you're going to do is on that first, select that first frame, and you're going to put in, select your text tool, and I use blue for my fill for my text, and it's two text boxes. This one here says account, your account equals, and if you check over here in your properties panel, it's Times New Roman, 22 points, the color blue, and if you click here, make sure you have upper, lower, numerals, and punctuation selected. You can't see this, but this is the OK button here. It does that for you. So that, make sure that is what's called classic text here, and make sure it's static text here. On that same layer, I have this box. Oops. And you'll see that's dynamic text. So in this text box, select dynamic text. The rest of it is the same. You don't need to embed it again. Once you embed one text, they're all embedded. And up here we got to give it a name, and I'm calling it user money, capital U, capital M, underscore TXT. And click the second frame, right click, insert a keyframe. So it brings that up to there. Lock that layer. Make sure user text is selected. Insert another layer, you will. I'm just going to paste one in. Call it bet text, B-E-T text. This is how much money we're going to bet. Select frame 1. You're going to make a text box the same way. There it is there. The parameters are the same, the dynamic text. And you're going to call it bet, capital B-E-T underscore TXT. And make sure this one's, if this is already shaded in, then that means it's carried up for you. But I just make sure by inserting a keyframe there. Close that. Lock all layers. Select that bet text layer. Again, you're going to insert a layer. I'm pasting mine in. And in that first frame, you're going to make, I'll show you how I did this. I took my rectangle tool. I made a rectangle. I just want to show you what size I'm using here. I'm using a stroke of 1. I'm using red for my stroke, blue for my fill, and it's roughly 39 by 27, just to give you some idea how big mine is. I highlighted it. I right-clicked and copied it. I pasted it and did that twice, so I had 3 separate blocks. Then one at a time I turned them into buttons. So I selected this one first, modified it, converted it to a button, and I gave it the instance name 2 underscore BTN with a capital T. And if I look inside of that button, I'm just going to double click on it. If I look inside of that button, I have the layer here, that is my button itself, and I have a second layer in which I wrote a 2 into. So I inserted a layer and put a 2 in there. So in case I wanted to change my values, I have to just change this layer. I can make it 2,200. I can make anything I want. If I put them on the same layer, then I got to redraw my button. Back to scene 1. I did the same thing for this one, which I called naturally 5 BTN, and this one which I called 10 BTN. Make sure you put these instance names up here. and I carried that to frame 2 by inserting a keyframe. Now comes the action script for all this. Select frame, make sure all my layers are locked. Select frame 1 of the actions layer, open it up, and I'm going to declare 2 new variables. Type. VAR, user money, capital U, capital M, colon number equals 25, semicolon, and you can make this any value you want. This is how much money that the person's going to start with, $25. VAR bet, BET, colon number equals 0, semicolon. That's how much he bets. Let's go down the bottom after this pull function here. Put a couple spaces and type this and put some comments in here. And we have this button, this number 2 button, 2_BTN period add event listener. You've already used that. Small a, capital E, capital L turns blue. Open bracket most event, capital M, capital E turns blue. Period. Click all capitals, CLICK, comma bet2. This is what I'm calling the function. Capital B, close bracket, semicolon, function, bet2, open bracket, event, small e, colon most event, close bracket, colon void. There's my open curly bracket for the function, my closed curly bracket, and we're doing 2 things here. We're telling the user money to equal user money minus 2. So what it does is subtracts 2 from your money. So user money equals user money minus 2, semicolon. And we're telling the bet box, bet, BET, to equal 2, semicolon. Okay? So we're doing 2 things. If I look down here, we're going to subtract 2 from this, which would be 25 when we start. We're going to subtract 2 from this, and we'll put 2 in here because we pressed this button 2. Copy that. A couple of enters, paste it, and now this will be 5, the other button, F-I-V-E. It's going to be bet $5, 5, 5, 5, and 5, and a couple of enters, and you know what this one's going to be, 10, 10, 10, 10, and 10. It's just as easy for me to do these than to start and stop. Go down to the end of the script, put a couple of enters in, and type all this. Type. Starts off with 2 forward slashes, telling me this here section says go to reset frame, which is the next frame, when all the slots stop rolling. So we're going to track those slots, and as they stop rolling, we're going to then jump to the reset and set some values. We're going to make a variable, VAR. I'm calling it global count, G, capital C, because I'm going to use this like a variable that I can use in another movie clip. Colon, number equals 0, semicolon. Here I'm making a stage, period, add event listener, small a, capital E, capital L, all turns blue, open bracket, event, E-V-E-N-T, capital E, period. This is all capitals. Enter, underscore frame, all capitals, comma, ent, E-N-T, frame, F-R-A-M-E. Let's make that a capital E as an ent frame. And close bracket, semicolon. Here's function of ent frame, open bracket, E, small e, colon, event, capital E, turns blue, close bracket, colon, void. Now there's the open curly bracket for this function, and way down here is the closed curly bracket for this function. Now, inside this function, if statement. If open bracket global count, that's this count here, we're going to be counting that. If that is greater than or equal to 3, close bracket. So that'll mean all 3 slots have stopped moving. When that happens, there's the open bracket for this if. there's the close bracket for this after. There's very little in here in this section. If that's true, open curly bracket, close curly bracket, and in between them, go to and stop, open bracket, and in quotations, reset. Quotation, reset, quotation, close bracket, semicolon. That's the name of that next frame. Also, we want to do something else. So here it says place the bet, the user money account. So that's that text box we made, capital B, period TEXT, that turns blue. It equals bet, whatever the bet that we made, and whatever button we pressed when we pressed that 2, 5, or 10, period, to string, small t, capital S, that turns blue, open close bracket, semicolon. This is what allows me to take that text value and turn it into whatever I bet. Okay, that's how it's done with ActionScript 3. At the same time, my user money underscore text, that box, period text, the period text turns blue, equals again, in brackets, user money, period to string, open close bracket, semicolon, and naturally that's that close curly bracket for that whole function. Now we have to go to each of the movie clips and update this global count. So open up your library, start with this top one, go to the last ActionScript layer. All it's in there is a stop, couple of enters, and type this. It's a new variable, var count 1, capital C, colon, movie clip. So we're using this as a movie clip, and we're saying equals to movie clip. Both movie clips are spelled the same with capital M, capital C. Open bracket root, that turns blue, close bracket, semicolon. It's saying treat this word count like a movie clip and pretend that it's attached to scene 1. And what we're going to do is increment it. So count 1, that's that same word here, period, global count. That's the global count that we made on scene 1, on layer 1 of scene 1, plus plus, semicolon. So copy this, right click copy, and paste this on the last action frame of all those pull movie clips, and you don't have to make any changes, just paste it in there because it's a global, it's treated as a global function, and it will just work as it is. I'll do all my 11 more and I will be back. I'll do the last one with you. My last one in my order, my library is pull 9. Open the timeline, select that last frame, and paste it in here and go back to scene 1. Open the actions panel on frame 1 and come up here where we have the pull button, and before the pull button was send us to this reset frame, so we can comment that out because now when the count reaches 3, it's doing that for us. So let's give that a quick test. I have no errors. It's just giving me some values. I'm going to select 10. So it's subtracted 10 from my account, put 10 in the bet, and we should not jump to the next frame until all these stop. And that's working good. And reset, but notice that we still have a problem here with our resetting. We haven't done that yet. Let's go back to scene 1, first layer of the actions panel. And in here we're going to make 3 statements. I'm going to separate them from my variables with an enter here. One is to underscore BTN, that's that wager 2 or button 2, period, visible, VISIBLE, equals true, semicolon. There's a period in here, and this visible and true turns blue. Highlight it, paste it here and copy it, paste it here and paste it here, and change this to 5 button and 10 button. Right click, copy these, come down to here where we made our bets with our buttons right here, enter right here on button or 2 button and paste that in. I'm going to just use my keys and put that back where I in line so it looks nice for me, and change these trues to false, F-A-L-S-E, and right click, copy, paste, and paste. Now copy that whole thing now, go down to here and paste it in here, and go down to here and paste it here, so that as soon as we make a wager, these buttons will be disappearing, so you can't make a wager, a second bet. I'm back on scene 1, and I want to pull this down as far as I can get it. Open this folder so we can see all these pulls. Click here, drag it all the way down to the bottom, get on the blue, right click, and insert keyframes. So now I'm up now in frame 3 going. Close that up. Select these 3 keyframe 3s and make them insert keyframes. Brings that text up to us. So there's our text and our windows are up there. Do the same for these 3. Insert keyframes. These 2, select this one and this one in one motion and click on them and drag them up once. Select these 2 in one motion, drag these over one. Click on this one once, get the fuzzy square, drag it over. Click on this one once, get that fuzzy square, drag it over. Open this now, which is the second frame of the actions panel. Grab this, cut this right out of there. That was that money one. Go to frame 1 and paste it in here. So the user money is the only thing on that first action frame. Let's go to frame 3 of the actions layer. Click at the very beginning, put a couple of enters, using my arrow key put me to the top, and type. A whole lot of typing. 2 forward slashes. This calculates the payout. It says if, and there's an open bracket, and way up the end there's eventually the close bracket for this if statement. Inside of this bracket, so I have bracket, I have another bracket, val slot 1, that's the first slot, plus 4 equals val slot 2, close bracket, and open bracket, val slot 2 plus 4 equals val slot 3, close bracket, close bracket. There's the open curly bracket for this if, there's the closed curly bracket for this if, and we're going to do 2 things. Just to make sure it's working, we're going to do a trace, open bracket, and in quotations 3 the same. That'll turn green if I have a quotation on each end of it. And close bracket, semicolon, and at the same time that user money, that's our account, that's how much money we have, equals the user money plus what, open bracket, bet times asterisk 5, close bracket, semicolon, and there's the close curly bracket for this if. So if slot 1 plus the value of 4 equals slot 2, that means that both of those are the same object. That means both of them same object. And if both of these are the same object, then all three objects must be the same. That's what that means. Now, you can copy and paste and do some changes, but it's probably just as easy to write it again. So here's another if, and it says if open bracket val slot 1 plus 4 equals val slot 2 close bracket, and now here's going to be different. Open bracket val slot 2 plus val slot 4, that's the exclamation mark, the uppercase of the 1, equals val slot 3 close bracket close bracket. There's the open bracket, open curly bracket for this if. There's a closed curly bracket for this if. Now what this says, if the first slot and second slot are the same, and the second slot plus 4 is not equal. That means not equal. When you put this exclamation mark equal. If it's not equal to 3, then what that really means is that 1 and 2 are the same and 3 is different. That's what that means if you take your time to logic that out. So there's an open curly bracket. So now we're going to trace open bracket semicolon 1 and 2 are the same, close quotation close bracket semicolon, and this time user money equals user money plus the bet semicolon. Up here we're going to get 5 times our money back if they're all the same. If the 1 and 2 are the same, then we're going to get our money back, and there's the close curly bracket for that if. There's where we just left off right here. So now if open bracket val slot 2 plus 4 equals val slot 3 close bracket, and open bracket val slot 1 plus 8, there's that explanation mark, equals val slot 3 close bracket close bracket. This says if the 2 and 3 are the same, and 1, which is val slot plus 8, is not the same as them, it actually means that 2 and 3 are the same. So open curly bracket, there's the closed curly bracket. Now we're going to trace 2 and 3 are the same. Same format up there, same format for this line. User money equals user money plus the bet. So if 1 and 2 are the same, or 2 and 3 are the same, we're going to get our money back. Now, if the 2 outside ones are the same, we're going to get some more money. So if open bracket val slot 1 plus 8 equals val slot 3 close bracket, and these are double ands, 2 and signs, that's what that means. Bracket val slot 2 plus 4 explanation mark equals val slot 3 close bracket close bracket. So this really means if 1 and 3 are the same and 2 is different, then we're going to trace that they're the same. User money equals user money plus open bracket bet times 2 close bracket semicolon, and there's my final curly bracket for that. Now you can change these values, you can make them all the same, you can make them some more money, that's your prerogative. Select this, back on scene 1, select this bet button layer and insert 2 layers. I'm just going to paste them in, and let's make sure all my layers are locked, and I have this layer called Win Movie Clip, and it's insert a blank keyframe on layer 3 of this one, insert a blank keyframe on the layer of this one, and this is called Lose Movie Clip. So let's deal with this one first. Open your library, make a new symbol, call it Movie Clip, and call it win_MC. And there's that movie clip. I'm inside that movie clip now to show you what's there. I have 2 layers. One is action script, and all that's in that is a stop. Then on the second layer it's called win. On the second frame it has insert a blank keyframe, and I have in big text, you win. Now you could have this on and off and on and off, or you could have fireworks, or you can do anything you want. Back to scene 1. While the win layer is still unlocked, make sure you have frame 3 selected. Open the library panel and go down till you find your win movie clip. Click on it and drag it out to the center of the stage. You're not going to see anything because there's nothing on frame 1. When you have it out there, open your properties panel and make sure you give it an instance name win_MC. And if you can't find it, just right click down here. It's the only layer that's selected. Select all, and that'll bring it up so you can put it in here. That takes care of this line. And on this one here we have another movie clip called You Lose. Lose. I'll show you that one. It's called lose_MC, and it's exactly the same except the text says you lose. Go back to scene 1. Make sure that you have frame 3 of that lose layer selected, and open your library panel and bring in the lose movie clip. Right click, select all, and then open the properties panel and write in the instance name lose_MC. Now let's write the code for those 2 new movie clips. I'm selecting frame 3 of my actions layer. I'm going down below all this where we're doing those ORs and AND functions in a couple of lines and paste in type. And I have an if statement. It says if open bracket user money is less than or equal to 0, close bracket. There's the open curly bracket for this if statement. There's the closed curly bracket. We're going to do 2 things. We're going to go lose_MC, that's that movie clip we just made, capital L, period, go to and stop, small g, small t, capital A, capital S, that turns blue, open bracket 2, close bracket, semicolon. So that'll send us to that lose movie clip where it'll say you lose, and that again button, AGAIN_BTN, which would allow us to roll again. We don't need that because the game's over. Period. Did I say period up here? Visible, that turns blue, equals false, semicolon. So we can't do that again. And there's the closed curly bracket for that if statement. And here's another if statement. Open bracket, user money is greater than or equal to 30. I'm only putting it to 30 to test it. You're going to probably put this to 500 or 100 or something. I just did that so I can do a quick test. Otherwise I'd be here all night trying to test it out. Close bracket, open curly bracket for my if, close curly bracket for my if. Here I want to go to the win movie clip and stop at frame 2. And I want to make that again button visibility equal to false and a semicolon. Now let's see if we can get through this. I'm going to bet $10, and I got a cherry here. Nothing's the same, so I lose my $10. I'm down to 15. Bet $10 again. I got 2 7s, so that gives me my money back. I get my money back, so I'm back up to $15. Bet $10 again. And because I got this, it says in this case I win because I reached greater than 30. But let's look over here for a minute. There's when I had the 3 of them the same and I got my 5 times my bet. And way up here somewhere, I'm still tracing something, this is when I had the 1 and the 2 the same and got my money back. So I believe this will work. I hope you learned something from this tutorial, and I hope you use what you learned.